Did a Muslim figure demand pork-free menus, and did she threaten to leave the U.S. if the request wasn't complied with? No, that's not true. The story has been repeated over and over again by dozens of websites using pictures of several different Muslim women, but none of them have made this demand. The article seems to be mostly used to attract likes, shares and comments in order to build up audiences for new fake news websites, given that many versions of the article use a headline that ends in "How would you respond this?" or "What's your response?" The latest copy of TH Story appeared in an article published on March 4, 2019 on a website named 7 once titled "Muslim Figure, We Must Have Pork-Free Menus or We Will Leave US, How Would You Respond This?" which opened, quote, "The Islamic rebellion in the USA is on the rise. The Islamic population within the U.S. borders is still minor, but their lobby and their tendentious and furious propaganda are stronger than any minority propaganda ever spread on American soil. Even the African Americans never enjoyed supporting this much like the Muslims do. However, the Muslims, taught by the liberals how to behave and how free they need to be in the USA, they started showing a frustrating arrogance. Let's face it, the United States aren't the only ones who have a problem with Muslim migrants. It affects the whole world. However, our country has had a fair share of terrible incidents that involve Muslims. They've enjoyed many privileges Obama has given them, but now, President Trump offered the perfect solution to put an end to this madness. The only thing he still has to deal with are Democrats who keep blocking his decision, because of their unconditional love for their Muslim friends. End quote. Users on social media only saw this title, description and thumbnail. Quote, "Muslim figure, we must have pork-free menus or we will leave US, how would you respond this?" Loading. End quote. The oldest version of the story we could find was published on July 1, 2017 by a now-defunct site named All News 4 USA. Quote, "Muslims demand pork-free menus. All News 4 USA Muslim migrants have turned into a worldwide issue, and the circumstance deteriorates each day. Our nation has had a considerable measure of Muslim-related issues of late, yet this time settlers went too far. President Donald Trump had the ideal answer for the issue forced by outsiders, however Democrats didn't bolster him." End quote. It used the picture of Alaa Basatna from a 2016 interview she gave to CNN. Quote, "Muslim woman, I don't feel safe in U.S. wearing a headscarf." Alaa Basatna is a Muslim woman who has been wearing a headscarf for the past 12 years, but these days, when she goes outside, she switches to a hat. End quote. Another picture frequently used with this story is that of Tahera Ahmad, who was also interviewed by CNN but in 2015. Quote, "United apologizes after discrimination claim. CNN A simple request for an unopened can of Diet Coke on a United Airlines flight left Tahera Ahmad in tears." End quote. Here is a screenshot from that interview which is frequently used in the hoax story. A third version of the story uses this stock photo by Hanchi Zhang of a pretty young Muslim woman head shot over black background. Quote, "Stock photo, pretty young Muslim woman head shot over black background." Download this stock image, pretty young Muslim woman head shot over black background, E6KD7W from Alame's library of millions of high-resolution stock photos, illustrations and vectors. End quote. A fourth version seems to be using a picture with an older woman. Quote, "Muslim figure, we must have pork-free menus or we will leave USW uncategorized. Initial 124 initial shares. Even the African Americans never enjoyed supporting this much like the Muslims do. However, by the liberals how to behave and how free they need to be in the USA, they started showing a frustrating arrogance. Read more. The Muslims were aware that America can offer them countless of possibilities during Obama's presidency." End quote. This woman appears to be Parveen Sadiq, who was interviewed by Channel 4 News in 2016. Quote, "Muslim woman uses one awkward fact to shatter Cameron's English language campaign." A Muslim woman has issued a withering response to David Cameron's policy of integration, saying many seem to have forgotten people from third world countries helped make Britain great. Her comments were prompted by the Prime Minister's heralding of a new £20 million fund to provide education for women struggling with the English language. End quote. Several of these women don't even live in the U.S. and the story never actually names the Muslim figure in question. It does reference a real incident involving Muslims and pork-free menus. Quote,